Alrighty, welcome everyone. Welcome. Once again, my name is Alex. I am here with Figure Sales Success Team, and we have an exciting announcement for you about a new feature. I think you saw it on the announcement, either the email or the LinkedIn, but we'll talk about that later. As always, we have our Senior Director of Sales Success, Tim Rowan. Tim, how you doing today? I think he froze, gentlemen. Is that just
Yeah,
me? As
looks a little
always,
frozen.
on
Yeah.
top of this, we have Reef Wosen and Mike Orlando, two experts on the product. Gentlemen, how are you two doing?
Yeah,
Doing great, Alex. Yeah.
I'm doing great.
That's great to hear. That's great to heir.
I was
Seems
contemplating just sitting completely still, see if I can trick you into thinking I was frozen too, but
It just really confused me today.
yeah.
Well,
well,
folks,
it's him frozen like that. It's kind of at least he's smiling. He's happy.
take a screenshot of it. Let's see what happens. Maybe make an emoji out of it. We'll see.
Fair.
Is he live? Is he active? Is this the real Tim?
He's
Is it
back.
a mannequin? He is muted, talking to himself in what I assume is a
This
hotel room.
is this is AI at its best
Yes,
right
there
here.
we go.
Now I'm having the hotel. We even scheduled a later checkout so I could jump on the webinar real quick because we are also getting ready to head to the airport. So anyway, back to your initial question, Alex. I'm doing great. Hopefully you guys are all as well, having a great week. I think it's Wednesday, but it is October 1st. So here we are, and I just heard from someone that, and I'm in Texas, so I'll be flying back to Northern California this afternoon, and it's like in the 70s there. So have we turned a corner? Are we actually headed into fall? I don't know. That'd be great.
It is so nice and cool here in Nevada. I am so happy. It is no longer scorching heat, and I can actually go out and do yard work in preparation for the winter.
How about you, Mike, on the East Coast out there? How's it? How's the
Yeah,
weather
it,
going for you guys?
it finally hit like the seasonal average today. So it had been like pretty warm lately. Outside in shorts and t-shirts a lot in the morning, but not today. Woke up today, walked outside, walked my daughter to the bus and turned right back around. I was like, "Whoa, need a jacket." So,
Well, the good news is that leads us right into what we're going to talk about today. And so we're going to heat some things up. So I want to set the stage if we can. Um, Figure, as everyone knows that's used the platform, the process, the product in the past, we have always been a fixed, fully amortizing, full draw product. And that's worked very, very well. Very purpose-driven product, phenomenal process. You've all heard me say it before. That's truly the magic. Uh, However, Alex and team, what day was it? Was it last night or Monday night? Monday night that
Monday,
I think
5
we
p.m.
went live with a new product, and that is a variable rate product, and that we're going to dive into today. So what I want to do is kind of have a conversation, and then remember just some housekeeping rules. We'll always leave time towards the end of this webinar for Q&A. Oftentimes, some of the best questions and answer sessions that we have are honestly the most impactful. But I just want to share with you all my take from an originator perspective, having done this for 25 some years. I can remember when HELOCs, traditional HELOCs, they have always only been adjustable rate mortgages. And then we went into the HE loan
End of this.
with, with the fixed aspect. And then you had two. You had your HELOC, which was variable, typically interest only for an intro period. Then you had your HE loan, which was fixed, fully amortizing, so on and so forth. And again, we've always been somewhat, we kind of crossed the bridge of both with our one product. However, now we are going to have a variable product. And so what Alex and team will be able to demonstrate for us all here today is the process is going to look and feel exactly the same. In fact, I'll share with everybody that we've already gotten feedback from some of our partners saying they actually love the visual aspect of it. I thought this was great feedback, saying that they love the way it came up and showed them which option to go with. So why would a homeowner potentially want to choose a variable? Well, to be clear, it's still a principal and interest payment. However, for the term of the loan, it just simply means it's variable. It's not fixed. And the terms stay the same, 30, 20, 15, or 10. And I think I've got that nailed down, right, Alex? I've been at a conference, but everything there stays the same. So again, it takes us back to the question, why would one of your borrowers potentially want this? Well, I'll just share with you that in this current environment, meaning what's going on with the Fed, what's going on in our economy, the belief is, and I'll leave this up to everyone on the call or conversations you're having with the borrowers, but do we think the Fed will be lowering rates over the next couple of years, or do we think they'll be raising rates? And if you answer the question, and more importantly, your borrower answers the question, that they believe the Fed will be lowering the rates, well then folks, this variable product could be very powerful. Why? Because today, if the rate is 7.5% when they close, and the Fed lowers it a quarter, it's going to go to 7.25, and lowers it another quarter, it's going to go to 7. Another quarter, it's going to go to 6.75. You guys get it, right? With a floor rate of 4.5%. So I think this has a huge opportunity for us all. So should every borrower have a variable rate mortgage? No. However, does this give you, the originator, the ability to have a conversation with the borrower, educate them, right? Like we do on any loan products, what's going on in the market, what are the market conditions, and let them make an educated decision as to what product of the two, fixed or variable, that makes the best decision or for them, for their needs and what they believe they think the market is going to do. I'm still waiting, by the way, team. I've asked every year for the last 25 years in this industry. Every Christmas I ask for a crystal ball for market conditions. And I still haven't gotten it. So I don't know if you all have any direct line, but you know, if you could help me get that crystal ball, would be awesome.
Let me call up a witch or a magician and I'll get it. Don't worry.
Yeah, so I'm also happy to share that I'm at a partner sales rally. We do this very commonly, all of us. In fact, Mike, you and I will be together at another event coming up in a few weeks. Reef, you, and one of the other folks on our team will be at another partner sales rally in Colorado in just a few weeks. And I am so excited to share with you that literally just yesterday alone, these loan originators did 7 inquiries. One is already in rescission, one is in notary, and the others are just, waiting for the borrowers to click on the link and continue. 7 inquiries, over $400,000 in loan volume, literally just while we were navigating the conference yesterday. It kind of a fun story about that. They had I didn't know about it, or else I would have gone into this breakout session, but they had a breakout session talking about their different product offerings. And of course, we're one of them. One of the loan originators on the panel, when asked about different products, prior to him going on stage, he started an app, received an offer. While he was on stage, the borrower clicked on the link and started doing the borrower stuff. And before he left the stage, they were doing notary. Now, how cool is that?
Love hearing that.
Yeah, and by the way, he was one of them that told us he absolutely loved the look of the variable rate options. So I think the opportunity is huge here. Again, from an education standpoint, like what works best for your client, and now you have one additional strategy you can review with them. But overall, the opportunity, listen, folks, it's real. It's just amazing, the opportunities that are out there. So I'm always going to lean on that, stress on dive in, use the lead portal, the inquiry tool. Think process, not product. Product is great, but process is truly the magic. And that's where this team comes into play, where we're anxious to help you all with this stuff. So Alex, if you want to demo it, you guys, listen, team, do you have anything you want to add to that? I'm a little jazzed up because I'm at a sales rally, right? So I feel like I'm in I'm in Alex Nichols mode right now. I'm like,
You got plenty of caffeine in you, ready to go, running around crazy.
Yeah.
On a call with one of our partners, and this is the big thing I was talking about, right? The fact that Fed's cut rates, they're going to say they're going to cut rates twice, later in this year. And I've had this request across the board, LOs, borrowers, everyone reaching out to me, in the past year saying, hey, what happens when rates get lowered? I don't want a fixed rate, because they anticipate rates are going to lower. That's what's on the forefront of everyone's mind. So to Tim's point, right, the rate floor is 4.5 on a variable rate, and we're going to go over it. And I'm going to talk about, we're going to show it to you, but think about this, right? you're going to have so many borrowers who are going to be really excited at the prospect of taking out some money, maybe paying back a portion, and we'll talk about the strategies, but to say, all right, well, I'm going to wait until the rates are looking good, and then I'll take out some money that I need, right? Whereas you may still have those typical borrowers who just want a fixed rate, maybe even treat it like a HELOC. They take out the initial draw, they never do a redraw. So you really need to understand your client. You need to have a conversation with them. I've been doing this almost 6 years now, and this is definitely something that I think is going to open up a lot of opportunities because the fixed rate floor has always been an issue with a lot of borrowers. And now you don't have that. Now you have an opportunity to offer them something different. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to show my screen here. I want to show you this visually. I'm a visual learner myself. It's all built into the inquiry tool. So it makes it easy, right? So if I have a borrower who needs money, I'm doing the inquiry, I'm filling in the information. There's nothing new here, right? We're going to go through so on and so forth. And I just want you to see, you don't need to make a different selection to get variable rate. You don't need to do any of that. You just run an inquiry. Takes out the guesswork. I will talk about there are some restrictions when it comes to variable rates. You may not see them on every single offer, but just know what's going to happen here is when you have a variable rate as an offer for your borrower, it's going to be broken up. You'll have that fixed rate option and that variable rate option. That origination fee is going to work the same. It's going to be a rate buy down. The higher the origination fee, the lower their rates are going to be. So you can play around with that in real time. But here's the fun thing to me. Here's the kicker. Variable rates, they're lower, 0.25 as you can see. So this is something out the gate you can offer to your borrower a lower rate by selecting variable. So this is something definitely, if the borrower is concerned about rate, if this is something that's the forefront of their mind, this is going to be an excellent option to them. Now, I want to reiterate a couple things Tim was saying. I want to talk about this, just strictly what we're looking at here, right? We have a fixed rate initially, this fixed rate, right? This is a fully amortized loan. It is for the fixed rate, right? You'll see the monthly payment. That rate floor is going to be that initial fixed rate. So 7.75 in this example. So we're never going to have them go lower than that initial fixed rate for any redraws. It can go higher, but it's not going to go lower. Whereas with variable rate, it's going to be an amortized loan. You'll still see the monthly payment breakdown. There's no IO period or anything like that. But the thing to consider with that rate floor of 4.5, to Tim's point, well, it can keep getting lower and it can keep getting lower. It is going to recalc, that rate the first of every month per draw, right? It could have, different rates depending on how many times they draw. But what's going to happen there is it's going to look at that prime plus margin and say, hey, is it higher or is it lower? And you have borrowers who start out at 7.5, maybe goes lower and lower and lower. Feds cut the rate lower, lower, lower. Or you could have a borrower who takes this out, maybe $100,000, let's say, paid $50,000 back, and then they're going, all right, well, I'm going to wait a little bit, see how rates are doing, and once it's low, I'm going to do a new redraw. They're going to have an online account. It's going to let them know this is your available credit, and more importantly, this is what the rate's going to be today if you do a redraw. So they can always log in, they can check, they can kind of play the market, play around with it, and see what's best for them. Now, for the borrower side of this, right, you're going to make all your fun selections on the inquiry. Well, again, they're going to get an offer selection screen. That offer selection screen is going to mirror your choices, but let's take a look at this one here that I just pulled up in a little test environment, right? They're going to have the option between fixed or variable rate, so they can also see it. They can also have those decisions, right? We're not going to, this application can be done in 15 minutes. They don't have to do it that quickly. They can think it over if they want to. But they're going to see those choices. They're going to see how it breaks down in their terms, and they're going to be able to see how that redraw structure works to then have that decision. And of course, as always, we'll have that direct debt payoff if that's enabled for your organization. So it could be a really good way for them to, 1, get a HELOC, 2, pay off debt, and 3, now with variable rate, they can absolutely get a HELOC with a rate that just keeps going down and down, depending on what happens with the market. I think that's generally, very much how it works. What are you thinking, Tim? Is there anything you want to add on?
Well, yeah, number one, I think the one point I want to drive home there is, by the way, I agree with some of the feedback we've received already visually. I think that's very simplistic. I think it's very easy for the loan originator and as well the borrower to navigate through. And on that topic, I want to make sure that everyone understands, just like our process always, the borrower also gets to see that same screen when they click the link to accept their offers. They also have the ability to navigate that. So why is that important? Well, One, oh, I don't know, team. How many times do I use the word expectation these days? Uh, right? So I want to again use that word and say, one, have the right expectation as the loan originator, meaning truly understand the product and the process, lean heavily on the process, but more importantly, set the expectation with the homeowner. And that is a great example of where a homeowner, your borrower, can also navigate the offer. So we have seen in the past some of what we've deemed power users. They may do things like screen share conference calls with a borrower and watch the borrower navigating through like on a Zoom call, no different than Alex just shared his screen now. And so I would encourage you to think like that if you believe that the borrower might have some trouble understanding or navigating that part of the process. And so just set the expectation with them and let them know they also get to drive on several different screens once they click the link and move forward with their offer. So yeah, really cool. I think it's a great opportunity. In fact, I'm anxious. It'll probably be by the end of the week or early next week. I'll be able to start seeing some data on where people are leaning regarding product choice.
That'll be interesting to see, to be honest with you. I'll be curious which side they lean more. I do
Yeah.
point out to folks, I did post in the chat here, there are, like I said, some restrictions. The big one is variable rate is a minimum of 640. We talked about on the last webinar, we lowered the FICO requirement to 600. That near prime, right, is what we're calling it. That 600 to 639. Just know that doesn't fall in the same bucket. And then it's also variable rates not available for first liens. And there are some state restrictions. So just refer to the product guide in the Resource Center and Lead Portal. That's all updated for you.
Reef or Mike or both of you, already this week, have you had any conversations? I mean, I know you've had numerous meetings and conversations with some of our partners and LOs, but have you gotten any feedback on variable rate launch as of yet?
Yeah, we've had a couple conversations where they haven't used it yet, but they're very excited about the idea of offering it, being able to offer it to their customers at this point. Especially like we talked about, right? We think the rates are going to go down. So that's only going to help, especially when it comes to people getting off the sideline, waiting for those rates to drop all the time, right? Waiting to get down to, where they were a few years ago, but now they can kind of jump in the game now, get those HELOCs, get the money they need for whatever it's be projects around the house, paying off high interest credit cards, stuff like that. It's a great opportunity for them to offer that to their clients and give them one more opportunity to do the things that they need to do.
Yeah, I love it. Reef, have you heard any feedback at all?
Yeah, the predominant feedback I've heard from several folks is that it's allowing them to be more competitive than when we had our rate option only, because other lenders would offer a variable and they would, kind of preface that by telling them, hey, I know it's a little bit higher rate right now, but this environment that's coming is going to allow you to actually benefit from this. So they actually tend to go with the variable rates, and we didn't have that option. So some of the folks I've talked to, some of our partners, they said this rollout is actually allowing them to be more competitive and now maybe gain some of those borrowers back that they were losing to the variable rate lenders.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually a great point. Thank you for sharing that, Reef. It's interesting. We've just spent some time and we've said the word rate, either fixed or variable, probably 50 times since we've jumped on the call, which is great. But I'm gonna jump here up on my soapbox a little bit and remind everybody. And I've also seen this in real time this week at this rally that I'm at. It is my opinion, but I want to encourage you all to think about this when you're talking with your clients. It is my opinion that a borrower doesn't wake up one day and say, I need to borrow some money, but I'll only do it if I can get 3%. See, I've always believed to my core that a borrower has a need, and maybe it's debt consolidation, maybe it's enhance or improve the property like Mike mentioned, or access cash to acquire additional property, or help their children with their down payment on their children's first home. Lots of use cases, right? Why is that important? Well, it's important because we, I think, oftentimes overthink the rate perspective of this. Is now a lot of folks on this call basically just what they just heard me say rate's not important. I want to be clear. I'm not saying rate's not important. What I'm saying is it's not the driving or motivating factor as to why somebody needs your help and advice. So I just want to encourage you all to think that way. Find out what their best option is. Oh, by the way, little side note, you can do that in 2 minutes and Reef's going to tell you 30 seconds. But I'm sticking with the 2 minutes inquiry tool, see exactly what their options are. If they have options, great. Does it work? Great, they're moving forward. If not, that's okay too. Shift gears, come up with a new strategy. But you can quickly find out that fast what it's going to look like for your borrowers to access equity. And now you'll have both the fixed and the variable rate option. And Alex, while I'm up here on my soapbox here real quick, you also mentioned first lien, and we know that we're not doing first lien on the variable. We also know that there's several states, which I've actually seen some messaging in our channels behind the scenes over the last couple of days, trying to get some more definitions. Do you know, Alex, have you seen any feedback yet, like on some of those states that we're not doing variable? Have you heard the why behind that?
I have not yet. I'll need to see more conversation on that. I think it's an initial, based on both investor and risk. But I'll have to see more color on that based on conversations we have internally.
Yeah, I just kind of wondering. Again, because I've been traveling, I haven't been able to stay completely glued to the channels, watching all the threads. But nonetheless, you mentioned the first lien, and no, we're not doing first lien on variable. We are doing first lien with our traditional HELOC process and product. And what's really interesting, I just want to share with you all. I was on a call this morning with some of our leadership, and the conversation was surrounding how big of opportunity is our fixed product and first lien position. And by the way, folks, it's really big. So I want to also encourage you that if you're talking to a borrower and you're thinking about doing a cash out refinance, or maybe you're going to be doing like a non-QM product for one reason or another, you might just want to take advantage of that lead portal inquiry tool and see how it prices out. Because when you really compare apples to apples, especially if it was agency loans you're comparing to with all the loan level price adjustments, our first lien pricing, here I go talking about rates and pricing again. I wish one of you guys could throw something, but
We'll start a counter.
but the reality is our pricing is actually extremely competitive there. And I just wanted to mention that while I'm saying my thing, that it is another opportunity, especially if your borrowers happen to have investment properties, because getting cash out on investment properties, traditional loans, non-QM loans, the CLTV caps, or the LTV caps, I should say, in first lien position, the pricing hits are significant. Little secret, those pricing hits don't exist with us. So run the inquiry.
Yes.
I just think the opportunity is real, and there's a lot of other factors as well. I know us as a team, we have seen on a few occasions different loan estimates from other loans having nothing to do with HELOCs, but first lien loans. And when you look at the closing costs, the cost of closing a mortgage in today's market to the consumer is significant. Title, escrow, notary, appraisal, doc drawing, other fees. It's just unbelievable how fast those fees add up. So again, I just want to encourage you, use that inquiry tool to really compare side by side one strategy versus another. And I'm not here promoting that our strategy is always the best. I just want to promote, start there, find out, look what the numbers are, and see if it works better for your client. So.
And Tim, I've done an investigation and I've discovered that the restricted states for variable rate, those states have additional requirements that are just not built into our system yet. So it's not to say we may never have them as variable rates. They just are a bit more difficult than the other states. So this is an initial launch. Who knows what enhancements we'll make in the future. So always stay tuned to these webinars. We'll always make those announcements.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, okay, well, that makes more sense then. So it's a state specific, probably some different disclosures and that type of thing that we're having to build behind the scenes. So yeah, that's great. Any questions flowing in? Remember, you got, and I always get this confused. They want to use the chat or the Q&A box. Which is it?
Q&A box.
Q&A box, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say, I think Mike can read some of these questions for us.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, so it comes from Amy. We entered a loan into the website. It came back with only one option. The term was longer than the borrower wanted. The loan amount was less than requested. Where do we find out why the amount slash term requested isn't an option for the borrower?
Hmm. I'd have to, well, we'd have to look at the exact file and do a little bit more deeper digging in that. But Alex, I don't know if you can show this on the demo tool real quick, but let's make sure that you said Amy was asking the question.
Yes.
And Amy may be able to respond real quick here, but we want to make sure that Amy knows to go look in the details section and look at any of the whys behind it. So that might
Correct.
help.
And I want to piggyback here off what you're saying, Tim, right? The very first place I go to is I go into this three dots action menu and I go into the details. And I find a lot of LOs miss this, but this is going to give you the full underwriting breakdown. Number one, here's the big thing that I check for, right? I look at things like post loan DTI. I look at things like post loan CLTV, right? I'm taking a look to see, what is falling in when it comes to underwriting, things like FICO score, right? The idea here is I want to see if where those caps are. You can cross-reference in the resource center that product guide when it comes to eligibility requirements. It'll give you these initial offers in these different buckets. So this is the first place to go, right? And just keep in mind, it is an automated system. There is no negotiating. We don't have the ability to go in there and make adjustments. However, if you really do want to know more, this is the place to go. Now, the other option for you is you are welcome to call in to that customer service line where you can more or less ask one of those agents and they can provide some more color. They have some more tools on the back end to say, hey, this is the more, let's say in-depth reason that these offers were limited. But just keep in mind that you don't want to beat your head against it. That's my big advice, right? You want to look, you want to see what their information is. If it doesn't work for the borrower, to Tim's point, all right, look somewhere else. This was a great first start, gave you free information, move on. But just know that details page is going to give you that full underwriting information.
Yeah, by the way, some of the, I'll give some examples of instances where I've seen what I think Amy's experiencing here is sometimes I've seen borrowers that are actually using assets and asset depletion to qualify. And what's happened is the system doesn't give them a 30-year term option because the assets won't last that long based on the depletion income we're giving them.
Yeah.
So again, Amy, it just depends on what their scenario is, but
The other thing I'll just add to that as well is because I think Amy was talking about the term was much longer than expected. So I think they were getting 30-year. So usually when those things happen and you're looking for a shorter term, like let's say a 10 or a 15 or a 20, it's usually DTI based.
right.
It's saying the monthly payment is too high for those shorter terms because of DTI. So usually if you can maybe double check the income, right? Are you using annual income? Are you using assets to deplete? Are you using spousal income if applicable? Are you making sure you're going gross? Those kind of questions I would probably pose as a way to make sure you have the income correct in that. And the details page that Alex showed you will give you that insight.
Awesome. Okay, hit us with it, Mike.
Yep. So, do you have any options? We just closed on a first deed of trust purchase. Appraisal, title, everything is done.
Right now, today, it's a 90-day seasoning for ownership. So again, right now, today, if it was a purchase, and obviously that's how the question was posed, then they'll have to have ownership for at least 90 days before we can come in and do a HELOC.
And Tim, help me with this one and correct me if I'm wrong. Deed of trust is a mortgage document, right? That doesn't necessarily mean ownership has been changed. So if that is the case, and it's just a mortgage that was done, let's say on the property, well, in that case, it's actually 45 days because ownership hasn't changed, right? Mortgages change.
But I think, and Mike, keep us honest here, but I think the question was surrounding purchase. They just finished a purchase. Is that what they said?
Yes, that is. Let me just double check.
Yeah, I thought it
closed on a purchase. That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because it's a purchase, they didn't previously have. So it wasn't a refi. You're right though, and actually, Reef, I'm glad you brought that up because if it were a refi, then yes, it would be 45 days. And by the way, I think it's important to understand the why behind both days. The 45 days is really what we've built in to believe that our system, everything we're pinging to verify data, actually will get the right data. Because it's not live in real time. And the same with the 90 days. Sometimes it takes a while for property to actually show up on county records and in all of our data sources.
Can you explain if the variable has a margin? Apparently we showed a rate as low as 2.9. Isn't this attached to prime?
No, it does have a margin, and yes, it is attached to the Wall Street Journal Prime. And I would have to look at one of the variable rate agreements, but I'm certain it would show the margin on there. And the 2.9 you saw, that is the origination fee, not having anything to do with the margin. That is the Figure's origination fee, to be clear, has zero impact on compensation. It's Figure's origination fee, either 199 or 299, but that's not dictating the margin. There you go.
Right. Yeah, the rate you would see starting at like 7.5. And to be clear, right, in the HELOC agreement, to Tim's point, there is that margin. And they'll see that too when they do like a redraw. It'll let them know, hey, this is what the rate would be. And then again, the first of every month, it'll recalculate all that based on margin plus prime.
Mhm.
Lose my words a little bit. I don't know where that's going.
And while we're on it, what is the floor again?
4.5%.
Awesome. Okay, do you have any options with a non-occupant co-borrower who is on title and the first deed of trust?
We only ever have one borrower on our files as a part of our process. So that's a very interesting question. So first and foremost, no, we don't have non-occupant borrowers. But the interesting part of that question that's got me raising my eyebrow here a little bit is you said first deed of trust. So are they on the current first loan and on title? Maybe we need to clarify that a little bit. I'm not sure why they would have to be a non-occupant borrower, I guess, is if they're on title, they own the property. I'm not sure why they have to be a non-occupying borrower. Now, they could do it as a second or investment property. If they're on title, they own it, and they don't live in it, well, then sure, it's an investment property.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I also have a borrower doing a rate and term on his first mortgage. He bought his primary home 3 years ago. Can he do a HELOC second lien right after he closes, or do you guys have a seasoning period?
45-day seasoning, and that goes right to what the point Reef brought up in that scenario.
What is the CLTV for an investment property? First lien, refinance rate, and term in a HELOC.
So basically, first lien HELOC 80%, 80% LTV.
Mhm.
Second lien HELOC on investment property is 70, CLTV.
And a quick clarification for the last question. Yes, they are on the loan and the title.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure the non-occupying bar. I get it if they don't occupy it, but then in my mind, it would either be a second home or investment property, and that borrower would be the borrower on the file. There wouldn't be a need for a non-occupying borrower, I guess is what I'm saying.
All right, that's all we got.
Wow, check that out. I like it. Anything else you guys want to add at all?
Same as always, I posted our information here in the chat as well. If you ever want to reach out to us, you can contact us at salessuccess@figure.com. Sales advice strategy, again, we don't talk about individual files, that's still the customer service, but you can also schedule time with us if you email us, as well as I'll send out an email after this with a whole bunch of information. And check that resource center, I have it updated all the time. So check it, it'll tell you an update date, and you can always check for new information, such as variable rate. That's all I had to cover today, Tim.
Yeah, by the way, I'll share one more. I just received an email from one of our partners, LO's first time user, and sent me a great note. And listen, team, we know we love getting these types of emails, right? And the email was, hey, I just want to thank you for helping me get started in your inquiry tool. The longest part of the process was the rescission. They said the borrower already has their money. And I'm like, oh, I love those emails, right? It's, I mean, that's what we're trying to do. So, yes. And also, Alex, we might as well just pencil this in right now because it's definitely on my mind as based on a meeting I had this morning, but we're going to dive into this comparing first lien position HELOCs compared to traditional first lien products on our next webinar. And we'll
All
dive in.
right.
We'll have some fun with that. I might even Mike will get a kick out of this. I'll probably have a mortgage coach report or something to bring up and play with.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Yeah.
All right, it's penciled in, and we will do that in 2 weeks then.
Yeah, also, again, just to reiterate, the sales success at figure.com, that's our team email box. Also, just as a heads up, we are making some changes to that. We're going to maintain that email box. Our team is expanding. We're trying to provide higher levels of service, really Q&A, tips and tricks, best practices. However, what we are going to be doing is navigating away from the sales success Calendly link. It's really gotten to a point where now it's meeting after meeting after meeting, and we're not quite sure, who's meeting and that type of thing. So just keep an eye on that, and just know that we're navigating kind of an enhanced ability to get to particular calendars to grab some time with this. Is that fair, Reef?
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna work out well long term for everyone because we're gonna get you the right help quicker. So it's less due diligence on our side when something comes in. We're trying to figure out who this person should really interact with and who should build essentially rapport with on our team. So it will work out. It might have a little bit of friction points in the beginning, but just our email inbox is always open. So shoot us an email. We'll be more than happy to assist and get us on some branch calls. We've been having some great branch calls this week that have been going very, very well. A lot of engagement, follow-up calls, follow-up messages. So, if you have a branch meetings, your stand-up calls, get us involved. We'll be more than happy. It doesn't have to be full trainings. It could be 10, 15 minutes. We can talk strategy. We can talk friction points. Maybe your region has, some outstanding things that you want to talk about, that we can maybe help give you some insights because one of the things we are privileged to be part of is we get to talk to everybody across the country, right? Different partners, different areas. We get to see what's working, what people are leveraging, how creative folks are getting, and we'll share that with your teams. So get us involved.
Yeah, love that. And by the way, can't leave this webinar without just reminding everybody and put a plug in that we are now actively launched with crypto-backed loans. And there's really nothing for you, the originator, to do other than to reach out to our team and navigate getting your partner turned on, your operation turned on, and it is simply a referral. All it's going to be is in the lead portal. We talked about it on a webinar. Well, it's been a couple of webinars ago, right, Alex? So we've got 6 partners that have already engaged and have that feature turned on. And we're looking to continue to expand that. And so that, by the way, is also a little bit surprising. I'll just share with you all. I actually thought, well, how big a deal is that going to be? Well, as it turns out, it's actually a pretty big deal. Crypto's kind of a thing, So I'm learning a lot about it myself, and which is fun to always learn new things. And actually, I'm going to prove that you can actually teach old dog new tricks.
There we go. I like that. And I'll be sending out information on that as well in the email.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then I can help navigate agreements or whatever we need to. But again, it's just as simple as a referral link, and we have a marketing agreement with some referral compensation paid back to the partner on that, and literally nothing for you to do other than to be able to raise your hand with your client and say, hey, if this is something you're interested in, I can help point you in the right direction. So, and now I'm going to go jump on an airplane.
Have fun with that, my friend. Enjoy your travel time.
Yeah.
Yes.
On my way out here, I don't normally have to check baggage, but I brought my wife with me because we got to spend the weekend with our grandkids here in Texas.
That's nice.
And so they just forgot to load my bag on the plane. So
Maybe they'll remember it on the way back home.
well, I'm hoping so, but to
Wow.
their credit, they actually delivered it to our son's house on Saturday mornings, or Saturday afternoon, actually. So I was a little bit bummed because I was thinking, man, now I'm going to have to go buy some new sport coats and some business clothing, but didn't get that way.
Worked out.
Worked out. It worked out too well. Worked out All right, folks. Well, thank you all for joining us. Again, 2 weeks from now, we'll send out comms. And with that, thank you, gentlemen. You have a great day.
Yeah, you guys too. Appreciate you all.
Bye.
See ya.